The knock came just as the sun cracked the horizon, a sharp sound that cut through the quiet like a blade. Michael Carter stood frozen in the narrow hallway of his small Ohio house, heart racing, still wearing the stiff jacket from a night job no one wanted. His hands smelled faintly of industrial cleaner, his eyes burned from exhaustion, and for a brief, terrifying second he wondered if something had happened to his son while he was gone. He had taken that job because fear had already taken everything else, and fear never knocked politely. Before the story pulls you in any deeper, pause for a moment and, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of ordinary people, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can reach the right hearts. Michael was 36 and had learned the hard way how fast life could turn. 2 years earlier, his wife Hannah had died after a sudden illness that did not care about plans or promises. Overnight, he became both mother and father to 7-year-old Noah, a gentle boy with thoughtful eyes and a habit of asking questions at the worst possible times. Medical bills swallowed their savings, grief hollowed out their home, and the steady job Michael once had at a manufacturing plant disappeared when layoffs came. Pride kept him searching longer than he should have, and desperation finally pushed him into a night position cleaning a massive private estate outside Columbus, a place so large it barely felt real. The agency warned him that no one stayed long, that the hours were brutal, the rules strict, and the isolation heavy, but Michael took it anyway because food and rent did not wait for better options. Every night, after tucking Noah into bed and leaving a handwritten note on the kitchen table explaining where he was going and when he would be back, Michael drove 40 minutes through empty highways. The estate loomed behind. Iron gates and old trees, a shadowed kingdom of stone paths and glass walls. His work began at midnight and ended just before dawn, and the silence inside those halls pressed against his chest. He scrubbed marble floors, polished windows taller than his childhood home, and wiped fingerprints from surfaces that probably cost more than his car. Cameras watched him from corners, and he followed instructions to the letter, careful not to touch anything he was not assigned. The owner, a reclusive billionaire named Jonathan Reed, was rarely seen and never spoken to, known only through a set of typed rules and the occasional distant light flicking on somewhere far above. The job took a toll almost immediately. Michael slept in fragments, caught between Noah's school schedule and his own collapsing energy. He missed a parent-teacher meeting because his body gave out, and guilt followed him like a second shadow. Noah tried to be brave, packing his own lunches and pretending not to notice when his father stared too long at nothing. Bills still stacked up, and there were nights Michael questioned whether the sacrifice was worth it. Yet, each morning, he reminded himself that this was temporary, that endurance was a form of love, and that his son's future mattered more than his comfort. One night, near the end of his shift, Michael noticed something different. A room he had been told never to enter stood partially open, light spilling onto the hallway floor. Inside, he saw shelves lined with photographs, not of business triumphs or awards, but of ordinary moments frozen in time. There was a younger Jonathan Reed smiling beside a woman with warm eyes, children running through a backyard, holidays that looked almost painfully normal. The sight startled Michael because it stripped the legend down to something human. He cleaned carefully, more gently than required, and left the room exactly as he found it, unaware that unseen eyes had noticed not just his work, but his restraint. The weeks passed, and Michael's exhaustion deepened. One morning, as he drove home under a pale pink sky, his phone buzzed with a school number. Noah had fainted during gym class, overwhelmed and underfed, because Michael had miscalculated groceries to stretch their budget. Shame burned hotter than fear as Michael rushed to the school, holding his son afterward and promising things he did not know how to deliver. That night, he returned to the estate heavier than ever, moving through his tasks like a man underwater, praying silently for a break that never seemed to come. What Michael did not know was that Jonathan Reed had been watching patterns. The billionaire had built his empire on observation, And lately he had been observing the quiet cleaner who never stole, never cut corners, and once used his own jacket to cover a broken window to keep rain from damaging the interior before reporting it. Security reports mentioned Michael's punctuality, his spotless record, and the way he lingered a moment too long in the photo room, not with greed, but with something like reverence. Jonathan, a man who had lost family and trust in equal measure, felt a faint echo of something he thought was gone. The knock at Michael's door brought all of this together in a single breathless moment. Standing on the porch was a black car that did not belong in his neighborhood, and a man in a tailored coat whose presence bent the air around him. Jonathan Reed introduced himself without ceremony, his expression unreadable as he took in the modest house, the cracked steps, and the tired single father gripping the doorframe to stay upright. Michael's mind raced through fears of mistakes, of rules broken, of losing the only job he had left. Instead, Jonathan stepped inside, noticing the drawings on the fridge, the packed lunches, and the faint smell of coffee brewed too strong to fight exhaustion. Jonathan spoke of observation and character, of how wealth made it difficult to know who to trust, and how Michael's quiet consistency had done something rare. He explained that the night job had been designed to test reliability over comfort, and that few lasted more than a week. Michael listened, barely breathing, as the billionaire laid out an opportunity that felt unreal. It was not charity, Jonathan made clear, but investment. He offered Michael a full-time facilities management position with humane hours, benefits, and a salary that could rebuild a life, along with a scholarship fund set aside for Noah's education, not as pity, but as belief in what the boy could become. Tears came then, not dramatic, but unstoppable, the release of a man who had carried too much for too long. Michael thought of Hannah, of promises whispered in hospital rooms, of nights spent choosing between sleep and survival. He thought of Noah's thin arms around his neck, and the way hope had felt like a dangerous luxury. Jonathan, for his part, looked away, uncomfortable with emotion yet strangely moved by it. He admitted that seeing Michael's devotion had reminded him of the man he once wanted to be before loss hardened him, and that helping rebuild one family felt like a small step toward repairing something inside himself. Life did not transform overnight, but it changed direction. Michael moved to day shifts, ate dinner with Noah at a table no longer shadowed by fear, and learned how to rest without guilt. He grew into his new role, respected by staff who saw in him a leader forged by hardship. Noah thrived, his laughter returning, his questions once again curious instead of worried. Jonathan Reed remained a distant presence, but not an absent one, checking in through letters and occasional visits that always ended with him lingering by the drawings on the fridge, quietly thoughtful. As this story draws near its end, if it has touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who might be struggling, and subscribe so these stories of quiet courage can keep finding their way to those who need them. Just before we close, I have one special request for you. Please comment below with the word hope if you believe that unseen sacrifices matter and that kindness can arrive when we least expect it. On certain mornings, when the sun rises just right, Michael still remembers the knock that changed everything. He remembers the weight of fear and the relief of grace. And he teaches Noah that dignity is found in how you treat what is not yours, that perseverance can echo farther than despair. Somewhere, a billionaire walks through his vast halls with a little less emptiness, reminded that the greatest returns are not measured in numbers, but in the lives we choose to see.